Okay, so the complex valued function, the input variable is a complex number, so output also a complex number, right? Okay, fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right. So let me tell you few things about this because they cover few part from the complex analysis. So I have to tell you two or three sentence on the complex number. So just you try to understand this because I'm not going to prove those theorem because
Okay,
uh,
that's okay.
okay, just you try to understand. I'm telling you, just try to understand the theorem.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So basically from now you focus complex valued function. Okay.
Okay.
So we will deal with complex number. Domain is a complex number. Codomain also will be the complex number. Now since we deal with complex number, so let me tell you about the complex number here. So as you know, any complex number you can think as a point on the xy plane, right? Geometrical meaning, if I give you a complex number, let's say z equal to x plus iy, so you can think, okay, this point is x comma y, right? Okay, so this is x distance, this is y distance, right? This point you can think x plus iy. Okay, so this is called the z plane. Okay,
Okay.
and the range we call the w plane. Okay, because output also a complex number, right?
Yeah.
So here z may be some place here. Let's say w equal to f of z, right? Okay. So any complex valued function you can write as a real part and a imaginary part. You can write. So for example, the previous function f of z we took z square plus 3. If you take that function f of z equal to z square plus 3. Okay. You can write this complex function into real part and imaginary part. Okay, so how? So let me put it here in the place z, you put x plus iy. So then what it will be, x plus iy whole square plus 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then what is this? If you little bit simplify, it will be x square plus 2xyi plus I of y whole square plus 3, right? What it will be then? You getting here x square minus y square. From here we get minus y square plus 3. This is the real part, right? Plus 2xyi. This part is the imaginary part, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So any complex valued function, you can write real part plus I into imaginary part, right? So sometimes people write this u of x comma y because function of xy, this is v of x comma y. Got it? Okay. So so if you have a complex function, then always you can write f u plus iv, where this is a function from R2 to R and v is a function from R2 to R, right? Because you know for the function u, you have two input x and y. So u will be a function from R2 to R because it is a real number, and v also function from R2 to R, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this way, complex valued function defined. Any question here so far? About complex value. I will give you example. So you try to write. So try this one. F of z. Let's say we are taking 3z plus 5. Can you calculate real part and imaginary part for this function?
Okay. So we can do 1 plus I, right?
No, not 1 plus I. In
Or
general, you
plus
put in the
IV.
place x plus.
So U plus IV. So
That
Z
you need
is
to calculate u and v. So
yeah.
how we did calculate here? In the place z, we put x plus iy. Here same thing you try.
So 3 times X plus IY plus 5.
Right. So then you rearrange real and imaginary part. What you get?
So
What
we
will be the
get
real?
3x plus 3IY plus 5. So you cannot simplify it.
No, no. But you can rearrange, right? Real part you can take together, and I part you can take
Okay,
together.
then you can put 3x plus 5 plus
Right.
3IY.
Right. Right. So this part is your u, and this part is your v. Understand this part?
Yes, sir. I understand.
I'm not going to so because we have less time, so I'm not giving you more practice. So you got it right. Any complex valued function we can write real part plus I into imaginary part, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So let me move to the, since when you did the real, for example, when you did the calculus one, maybe calculus 2, you saw that limit of a sequence, limit of a function, differentiability of a function, all this concept you covered, right, in your course.
Yeah.
Okay. Same thing, same, all the same topics we can study for the complex valued function. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because inside complex number set, we have a function, or you can say we have a process that allow us to measure the distance between two complex numbers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you take a complex number here, let's say z1, it is a point, and here you take a complex number z2. So let's say this is a plus iv, and this is c plus it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can calculate the distance, the segment, distance of the segment joining z1 and z2, right?
Right.
What it will be? We write like this: distance of z1 and z2, it will be basically square root of a minus c whole square plus b minus d whole square. Got it?
Yeah, yes, sir. I got it.
Why? Because this point is coordinate a comma b, and this point has coordinate c comma d. And from the elementary geometry, we know the distance between 2 points we can calculate by using this formula, right?
Yeah.
Right. So we'll write this, instead of writing d of z1 comma z2, we'll write z1 minus z2, this modulus. Okay. This is nothing but distance between z1 and z2, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So inside complex number, if we take two complex number, then we can add them, we can subtract them, we can multiply them and divide them. Also, one more property we see here, that we can measure the distance between two complex number, right, by this formula. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I can give you example. So for example, you can take let's say z1 equal to you take 2 plus 3i and z2 you take 1 plus I, right? So what will be z1 minus z2 absolute value? So just you first subtract. Okay, you can do like this: 2 plus 3i, then minus 1 plus I, right? Absolute value. So what it will be? It will be 2 minus 1, right? Plus I into 3 minus 1. So what it will be? Absolute value of 1 plus 2i. So this is nothing but square root of 1 square plus 2 square. So square root of 5. Got it?
I got it.
Right. So the distance between these two complex number is square root of 5. Okay.
Okay.
You can calculate distance between any two complex number. So once we know we can calculate distance between two complex number, we can talk about the limit. Okay. Right. So let me recall you here limit, then I define the derivative, then the holomorphic function, then we'll define the elliptic function. Okay, then one statement, then finish this chapter. Okay. Hello. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me write it here. Limit. So if I write limit z tend to a complex number a, so f of z is a complex valued function equal to another complex number l. Okay. So this meaning you know the distance of f of z, the distance between f of z and l becomes smaller if z minus a, the distance between z and a becomes smaller. Okay. Right. Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
Right. So there is all the theorem is true for complex valued function. Whatever you have the limit function, limit theory, all true here. Okay, I'm not writing again. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Right. So let me tell you here the the definitions of derivative. So okay, f is a complex valued function. So derivative of f at the point a denoted by f dash a. Okay, all the notation are same. The definition will be what? Limit h goes to 0, f of a plus h minus f of a divided by h. Okay, this is the definition for derivative of a complex valued function. Okay, of course here, so let me tell you, so one thing, if f is differentiable, this means derivative exists. Differentiable at every point of a domain D, then f is called a holomorphic function on D. Okay. Right. You understand? So you have a function from D to R, sorry, D to C. Suppose at every point it has derivative, then we called f is a holomorphic function. Of course, D is special kind of set. So I'm not going to that. You can take here D is something like, D may be this type of thing, okay, or the circle or the disc, right, or the triangle region, right, this set, or the polygon region, okay, this type, subset of complex plane. Yeah. More generally, you can define the mostly if you take open set, it is defined. You can define the differentiability. So all the function, differentiable function, if you take the example, basically you can take first the EG function is the polynomial function. A n z to the power n plus dot 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 a1z plus a0. This function is defined everywhere on the complex plane and it is differentiable. Okay. Right. Similarly, in the complex valued function, we can define the similarly we can define the sine, cosine for complex variable, but we need little bit concept of the power series, but without using power series, you can also define. So let me recall you the exponential function. Okay. Did your teacher cover these all topics I am telling you now?
He just talked about doubly periodic functions and then the fundamental domain.
Okay. Right. But since he used the holomorphic function and the Lewis theorem, that's why I'm telling you this name, all the how they comes. Okay.
The Lewis theorem.
Yes, he told that. So I think you can move to the chapter page number. You can see.
Oh yeah. So for the Lewis theorem, I wrote that down, sir.
Okay, that's why I'm introducing the holomorphic function term. I mean, derivative exists. Simple way you can say a function has derivative on the domain, and you called it is holomorphic on the domain. Okay.
Okay.
And now you can ask me the question: how defined the derivative of complex valued function? Similarly, as you defined it for the real valued function, the same thing here defined. I wrote it here, definition. Okay. You calculate, derivative of a complex valued function at a point a mean, you just take the ratio, for the functional value divided by h and take h tend to 0. That limit if exists, you called okay, the function is differentiable at that point. Now holomorphic on a domain mean at every point it is differentiable. For example, the polynomial function differentiable. Okay. And all the formula relate to derivative that we seen before in the real calculus course are true here. Okay. I mean derivative of, for example, if you take derivative d dz of z to the power n, it will be the same n into z to the power n minus 1. You understand what I am trying to tell you?
Yeah, I understand, sir.
All the theorem are true. But the problem here, what is the definition for sine z, cosine z? You need to go to the exponential function e to the power z first. You need to define. So let me tell you how it is defined. It will be basically limit n goes to infinity. Take the sequence 1 plus z by 1 factorial plus z square by 2 factorial plus dot z to the power n by n factorial. just calculate the sum. For example, you want to calculate e to the power I, let's say. Then you first calculate 1 plus I by 1 factorial, I square by 2 factorial, dot I to the power n by n factorial. This sum you calculate, then you take n tend to infinity. Now here note, this limit exists. Limit exists for all z. Okay, understand?
Mm-hmm.
So this limit we call the exponential function for the complex value. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Right. So how we define the sign? Sign of z. This function we define. Okay. So here let me tell you one thing that if you define, if you try to write the property of this, all property it satisfy. E to the power z into e to the power w will be e to the power z plus w. Okay. And secondly, e to the power z minus z equal to e to the power z whole to the power inverse. So this is nothing but 1 by e to the power z. Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, one more property I have to add here, e to the power z always not equal to 0. Okay. All these property are true. Right.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now, you know, once you know e to the power z, you can define sin z. Sin z will be basically, the definition will be this. E to the power iz minus e to the power minus iz divided by 2i. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what will be the cos of z? This will be e to the power iz plus e to the power negative iz divided by 2. Okay, this way, and this is true for all complex number. This way, cosine and sine defined it. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So now let me write here Euler identity. Maybe I'm telling you little bit, details, but it is fine for you. E to the power z equal to cos z plus I sine of z. Okay. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This way. Fine. So now tell me, let me tell you one thing that, I think, have you seen before the concept of compact set? Compact set. Do you know this name, compact set? Are you familiar with this term, compact set?
A little bit, sir.
Okay. Can you tell me an example of compact set in the real line?
Okay, sir.
Right.
So, well, it could just be like numbers, right?
Compact set.
So, negative
On the
3,
number.
you could
Yeah,
do
on the,
like negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
you have
Or
to
you could do like, you could do something with n. You could do like 1 divided by n, where n is equal to all natural numbers.
okay, but compact set. Compact set mean, have you seen this before? Because this is very, it is a large topic, the compact set. Shortly, your teacher told you the compact set because
No, he didn't tell us about this.
okay. Let me explain, try to explain. So for example, you take the interval 0, 1, close interval 0, 1. All the number between 0 and 1, including 0 and 1. How many numbers there are between 0 and 1? Finitely many, infinitely many?
Yeah, infinitely many.
Infinitely many. Okay. There is no gap between 0 and 1, including 0 and 1. So any interval of this form, including the end point, finite interval including the end point, is a compact set in the R. Okay. This is example. So you can take interval 1, 2, this interval. All the number from 1 to 2. It is a compact set. Okay, fine. So in this situation, I cannot give you the definition for the compact set because we need some concept. I have to define. I'm not moving to that direction. So just I'm trying to giving you example. So any closed interval is a compact set on the real line. Okay. This is compact. But open interval, if you take, let's say 0, 1, the 0 is not included, then it is not compact. Okay. End point must include. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not a compact set. Now, so on the complex plane, how the compact set look like? Okay. So its compact set totally depend on the given metric space, or you can say topological space, or the space. Okay, normally where we can measure the distance between two points, we can define there the concept of compact set. Okay. First we define open set. Using open set we can define the concept of compact set. Okay. But although the definition are different, but we are trying to understand here by taking example. So on the complex plane, compact set how look like? For example, if you take any square, interior part you take, inside part, also the boundary is compact. Okay. So for example, let's say this is 1 unit, this is 1 unit. So this set will, as a set, it will be 0, 1 cross 0, 1. You can say like this, right? Or as a complex subset, if you try to say it will be x plus iy, all the complex number, where the real part here x and this is imaginary part y. X is between 0 to 1 and y is between 0 to 1. Got it? Right. Also you can take the triangle with the boundary. It is a compact set. Okay. You can take the disc, center, let's say a point, and radius is r, including boundary and interior part. Is a compact set. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Now there is a theorem. So let me tell you now bounded function. Okay. They use this term. So a function f, let's say from a domain D, where D is the subset of C to C, is called bounded on D. You call bounded on D if f of z. Okay, so you can write like this. If there exists a positive number m greater than 0, such that f of z, the absolute value of f of z less equal to m for all z belong to the domain D. Okay. Right. Okay, so if you try to find some examples, so you have many examples, but let me, before give the example, let me write here the theorem. Okay. So let's say D is a compact subset of C, and it is compact. Okay. There are infinitely many compact subsets, and f D to C is a continuous function. Okay, so you have a compact subset, and f D to C is a continuous function, right? Then you know f is bounded. Got it?
Yeah.
So any complex valued function on compact set is a bounded function. Any complex valued function, it is not true for only complex valued, for any continuous. Also, okay, since we are working on complex valued function, so any complex valued function from D to C, D is compact set. If the function is continuous, then it is bounded. Now question, how you check some complex function continuous? Okay, you need to calculate the limit at every point of the domain. So basically every point of limit is the functional value itself, right? So then you called, okay, the function is bounded. Oh, sorry, then you called the function is, continuous, and once it is continuous on a compact set, then it must be bounded. Okay. Okay. So now let me tell you entire function. So if a function has domain C and it is analytic on C, if f is, sorry, holomorphic on C, then f is called entire function. Okay. Got it?
Yeah.
If you have a holomorphic function, so this means you have a complex valued function from C to C, domain is C. At every point of C, the function is derivable. Then you call it is an entire function. Okay. In complex analysis, people basically study the holomorphic function, also the entire function. Or you can say the property of the entire function. People are interested to study. Okay. In complex analysis, people are actually interested to study the property of entire function. Okay. And more weak function like a holomorphic function. Okay. Fine. So example you can take. So let's say f of z is a polynomial. It is an entire function. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Because it has domain whole complex number. You can put in the place z any complex number, output will be a complex number. Now you can calculate derivative or the polynomial. This is nothing but polynomial, you say, right? Complex polynomial. This complex polynomial is differentiable at every point. Okay. So it's an entire function. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, okay, 1 second. right? So now there is a very nice theorem called the Liouville's theorem that okay, 1 second. I'm covering this part now. So let me tell you this part I'm covering that theorem. Okay, it states that any NTR bounded function is constant. Okay, function is constant. If you take any NTR, so this means a function f to f c to c and differentiable at every complex number, and suppose it is bounded, then it must be a constant function. So this means there is no non-constant function that is NTR and bounded. Okay, right. But in the real, if you look at the real analysis, that is no. If you look at the real analysis, right, then this theorem is not true. Okay. For example, you can take fx equal to, let's say, sin x, right?
Yeah.
Now our domain is real number, yes. And this function is differentiable every point, right? Derivative exists at every point. What is the derivative? It is cosine x, right? And let's say, it is bounded because absolute value of sin x is less equal to 1, right? For all x real number, right? So the function fx equal to sin x is differentiable, derivative is this, and function is bounded, although it is non-constant function, right? Yeah, so non-constant. So in the real analysis, two property. If it is differentiable every point on R and bounded on R are not enough to decide the function is constant function. We need more. Okay, there are many more situations like derivative if 0, then it's a constant function. Okay, but complex analysis, this is the strong zone. Okay. Got it? Right. Now, double period function or elliptic function. I told you everything here, about complex number. I don't know how much interest you are getting. Now, okay, we are in the nice situation that, we can deal with the beautiful function. So first beautiful function was that beautiful function. So let me list beautiful function. This way I am telling you because if you do research in future, so I not need to read everything. So the most important part you have to cover. So basically list beautiful functions, of course, complex value. So I'm not giving the example one by one. I'm just telling you the property. For example, if you go to your institute, the principal has the most powerful, right? Then assistant teacher, then the senior student, then junior student, like this, right?
Yeah.
So I just telling you that I am writing here the property. So first important function are that satisfy all the property are the polynomial. Okay. This function, satisfy all properly. So this is principal even thing. Then next will be the holomorphic function. Okay. And the ratio of two holomorphic function also very important. Then that are called the meromorphic function. So I list the function accordingly their, the beauty. Okay. Polynomials are very nice function. You can take derivative. You can easily calculate polynomial function at a particular complex number. Because it involves multiplication and addition. You can take derivative. You can take, all the nice property. But holomorphic function, if you have, it's a little bit difficult to calculate the functional value at a given point. For example, sine z, if you take, you cannot calculate sine of I will be what, but it is a complex number. What you only can say, okay, this function is differentiable. That you can say. And the meromorphic function are nice because it's the ratio of two holomorphic function. It is not defined everywhere. So, got it? Right. So let me tell you elliptic function. Then, so if you have a function with two periods, then you call it is a elliptic function. Okay. This type of situation, f of z plus w1 equal to f of z, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, f of z plus w2. Okay, let me write in the vertical situation, then you understand properly. Z2 w2 equal to f of z. Okay, for all z belong to complex. Why you are interested for the function that have two period? Because in the complex plane you have two fundamental direction, right? If you look at the complex plane, you can divide the complex plane into the small grid, right? Something like this. Got it? Maybe like this, right? So you can break it into the small rectangular boxes, right? Like this. So you can think, okay, this is your principal box, right? This box is principal box, right? Okay. But here, if you have two complex number, W1 and W2, of course, W1 is not multiple by W2. Otherwise, they are lying on the same line. Okay. So what is the important? Here you have a, let's say, W1. This function is W1, let's say, and let's say this is W2. Okay. So this is, let's say, W1 and this is complex number W2. Okay. Now what you can, so see, you can make here the parallelogram, right? So this is a parallelogram. Two adjacent sides are W1 and W2. Now, if you have an elliptic function with the period W1 and W2, it's like a similar like a periodic function from R to R. That time we saw that if the function is defined on a interval of length, the period, then you can determine the functional value at any point on the real function. Otherwise, you can say, if you know the graph of the function on this interval, then you can draw the graph for the rest part. So the interval you call the fundamental domain, right? So here also, this parallelogram is the fundamental domain, because if you know the functional value, the value of f at every point of this parallelogram, then just you translate this, right? On this parallelogram, the functional value will be same, right?
Yes, sir.
So this domain, yeah. Why? Because if you have some point here, let's say, if you take some point here, that you can write this point, you can write basically from here some point you can pick z, then this point you can write z plus w1, right? I mean, all right, okay. So if you take some point from here, so then let's say this had something like this. If you take here some point, so you can move to this point, right? Something using this, because right, okay. Just if you add z plus w, then you translate this horizontally, this direction you are translating. So now you are using w1 vector, right? Okay. If you take here a box here, then your translation along w2. Got it? So the red box, if you want to, you can translate left side, you can translate vertically upward. So similarly, if you translate this here, you will get here, right? So whole complex plane you can cover by the red domain. And if you know the functional value on the red domain, all the part of rest part you can determine the functional value. Okay.
Okay.
Now see, as I told you, this is a closed and bounded interval. I mean, it is a compact set. And if your function is holomorphic on this domain, so this means it is derivable at every point. So it's a bounded function on here, right?
Right.
Continuous differentiable function is continuous. So on the red domain, it is continuous. So here also continuous, because this and this, both parts, the function defined in the same manner. So if we know it is bounded here, also bounded here. So this means in general, it is bounded on the all complex plane. So any complex valued function, if it's elliptic and continuous, then it is a bounded function. Now, if it is holomorphic and bounded, so it is a constant function, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so therefore we are not interested on the holomorphic elliptic function. So non-holomorphic elliptic function are interested to us. Okay.
Okay.
Only continuous and something like this. So this domain we call the fundamental domain. You understand the concept? When we define the periodic function for the line, we only took, for example, 0 to 2 pi, if you know the functional value, for example, sin x, if you take, then it is defined like this, right? And this part you just shifted this side and this side, you get the graph in the whole real line. Similarly, if you know the functional value on this parallelogram, you can shift the parallelogram upward and horizontally, just to find the rest part of the complex functional value on the complex plane, right? So therefore it is fundamental domain. And yeah, got it. So just you have two period for elliptic function, and normal periodic function has only one period. So basically what we have learned so far, all the concept that we had for the calculus course 1, you have a real valued function. We knew that we can calculate limit at a point of the real valued function. We can take the derivative, all the thing. Also, I think you seen that time power series expansion, right? You saw this, right? Before power series expansion. Ratio test, root test you did, right? For the real valued function. Same thing here true for the complex valued function. All the concept you define. The name here little bit changing. So if something is differentiable at every point on a domain, called holomorphic function. And if it is defined on the whole complex plane, called the analytic function. Now here is a nice theorem, Lewis theorem, that if some function is bounded and entire, then it must be a constant function. Okay, and we defined here the elliptic function. So yes, so far we covered the complex valued function and elliptic function. The next topics you have the number theory. I think we already did 1 hour 30 minutes, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So one more class I need. It will be
Okay,
better
sir.
if you sit tomorrow. One more class, please.
Okay, sure,
Then we
sir.
can go. Number theory will start, not go to the complex. Okay, again.
Okay, sir.
Did you get the idea? We not
Yeah,
went
I
through the.
got it. I got it.
Yes, just I'm telling you, all the real concept you can shift it to the complex concept. But here
Mm-hmm.
you have few nice theory. Okay. Because the course designed this way that you will not cover deeply all the thing, just you overview, right?
Right.
Right. So just I'm telling you the research area, oriented area, like polynomial, holomorphic, meromorphic. This is very
Mhm.
beautiful research area in complex analysis. If you want, okay.
Yeah.
They enjoy nice property. You can calculate a algorithm. You know.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Fine. That's so. Next time we start the number theory. Also see very beautiful concept there. Very nice concept.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. 1 hour 30 minutes we done already today. Okay, see you in the next class. Try to take tomorrow a class, maybe evening time, my. So
Okay,
if you do,
sir. Yeah. Maybe same time tomorrow.
yes, please. Next today, just you take tomorrow one class. I will finish
Okay,
that.
sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. See you then. Bye.
Okay, bye, sir.
Bye. Good night.